First of all, a hearty congratulations to SomaiyaVidyavihar on their maiden TEDx edition. It is definitely a huge accomplishment by itself. A huge round of applause for yourself first. Next, I would like to thank you all for having me here in front of you to share my thoughts, my idea, my journey, my story on this beautiful topic called Power of a Just Society. Before that, I would like to share an experience with you. I'm an engineering graduate. I passed out in the year 2012 from Mumbai University itself. I truly, after my engineering, I had two options ahead of me, either to take up a job or to go for further education. I chose not to study further. I was not ready around that time, and I wanted to take up a job then. I was always passionate about teaching. I really liked and was fascinated about the idea of this whole organization wherein you exchange your ideas, you exchange your thoughts. And I truly believed in the wonders that it could create. I got fortunate enough to teach in the very same college where I graduated from, the same year itself. And it was during the early months of the first semester itself where I met this student of mine in one of my classes, and he was completely lost in his own thoughts. I asked him the reason of his mental absence, and he said he was busy thinking about this grassroots level project that he is working upon. I thought he was bluffing because engineering by itself is too big a challenge to deal with in the first place. How could he be doing something else which is not even related to academics? I mean, it sounded a little absurd. To test his answer, I asked him the details about the project. This guy came up to my surprise. He was actually working in the interiors of Maharashtra with this Chambhar community, more popularly known as the cobbler community. I was like, wow. I was initially very inspired, but what happened next was quite awakening. I asked him the details on this project, and he said he was working on uplifting the status of this cobbler community in the interiors of Maharashtra and Karnataka. Now, when you talk about the cobbler community, when you talk about the Chambhar community, and when you talk about Maharashtra, it's easy to relate that you're talking about Kolhapuris. The Kolhapuris, everybody know about the Kolhapuris, right? There's nobody in this audience who wouldn't have heard about it. So, I just thought, I could not correlate this. The art is famous, the art is so popular. How can an artist, an artisan who is creating such a wonderful product, be uplifted? Why would there be a need to uplift this artisan? He said, it is in our heads, it is a myth that Kolhapuris are so famous around the world. Even though they are famous, there is an absolute need, it is the need of the hour to actually uplift the status of these artisans because they are reducing in number day by day. It is so bad that these artisans are actually struggling to meet the bare minimum for themselves. What I heard was completely shocking. It was not expected. I was sitting in an air-conditioned lab thinking about how to spend my weekend, and miles away there is this family who is struggling to earn a meal for themselves for that particular night. The condition was so bad. Like I said, however challenged and inspired I felt initially, later on, I felt emotional towards these people. I wanted to contribute in this venture some way or the other. So I asked him if I could join him, and he obviously readily agreed for the same. And that was when we started multitasking. We spent weekdays in the college. I was teaching, he was studying, and the weekends were spent in the villages. Now, the main agenda to travel to the village was to understand this rising gap between this excellent piece of art and the diminishing value of the same. We spoke to a few artisans, we met them, we tried to understand the problem. There were two important points that we came to know about. One, they had the capacity to make this world-class product, an unmatched product. The details, the perfection, the intricate designs, these were all the wow of the product. The second problem was that we understood about was that these guys were suffering because they had limited access to the resources that we sitting in the cities have at our immediate disposal. We really don't think twice before switching on an AC or before switching on a television. These things are available with us ready at hand. This was not the case with these guys. What we decided to do was, we decided to use a 360-degree model approach to help these artisans upgrade. Now, since both of us were engineers, we always kept technology in the forefront. For us, technology and machinery is, it means something that reduces our efforts. On the other hand, the technology, the machinery for an artisan means it is something that replaces him. So it is that gap which had to be bridged. It was that knowledge which had to be transferred. The definition had to be changed. So we involved ourselves deeper in the venture. We first understood the product. We understood that due to the lack of resources, this artisan was not aware of the upgrade that actually the shoe industry has now met. When you see an Italian shoe in front of you, you go all amazed by it. You are ready to pay the price that it is asking for. But you won't spend the same amount for a Kolhapuri. Why would that reason be? The product needed an upgrade, it needed a makeover. So at various processes of shoemaking, we involve technology in the picture. Like for example, machines, like not machines exactly, but equipment and tools that could accelerate the growth, that could upgrade the quality of the product were used. The shoe was still artisan made. It was the artisan controlling the technology. It was the artisan controlling the machine, and not the other way around. For example, simple tools like lace cutting machine that would give him a better made product, that would give him a more perfectly made product, was introduced to ease out his operations. Now, quality comfort elements were added like latex insoles. All these elements he did not even know about, because the only reason he was not knowing about these things was because his geography was not in a sound place as ours was. About a year's time was spent in remodeling the product. And it was around the same time when we thought that this venture, which was started off as a part-time venture, actually started getting exciting. And we thought of doing it full-time. It was the same time when I quit college, which happened to be the same time when this guy got graduated. So we wanted to dive deep in this venture, and that was when we did it full-time, leaving our respective college jobs. Then was the time to actually build sales channels so that we could push this product in the market. The product was ready. What we did was, we first of all named our brand. The brand is called Desi Hangover. The idea is to spread Desiness around, get rid of the colonial hangover, be raw, be Desi. That's the whole idea. Now, we wanted to market the product, for which we first of all built our own website. We made social media pages. We did exhibitions in tier 1, tier 2 cities so that we could understand the customer's response better. We could pitch the product to the customers better. The product was not just gaining responses, but it was gaining a lot of appreciation. Why? Now, the Indian eye had never seen such an Indian shoe before. The basic assumption of a Kolhapuri is such that people say, it is too hard, it is too tough, the leather is so uncomfortable, I would wear it just for the occasion maybe, but then that's about it. I don't want to wear it all day long. This shoe was completely different. It was a collaboration of an engineered aspect. It had a collaboration of engineering. It had a collaboration of a handmake. So it was collaborated as a engineered handmade shoe. The product now was ready with a new price tag. It took us, again, almost the same amount of time, a year's time, to actually gain recognition and demand for the product. We slowly started expanding, growing, and we now export to 6 different countries. The artisan who initially was making just 250 pairs a month is now selling up more than 1,000 pairs a month. That is how the artisan empowerment has happened in real sense. To make this model sustainable, what we did was, we undertook an Adopt a School initiative. Under this initiative, we've adopted a school of about 150 odd kids, and these are the kids of the artisans who make these shoes in the villages. Now, why would there be a reason to take this step? We understood in the first place that the reason the artisan was not able to flourish, the reason he was not able to prosper, was mere lack of resources. We did not want the further generation, the next generation of the artisan, to undergo the same suffering. So from the time when the artisan started getting empowered, we made sure his kids had the necessary resources beforehand itself when they grow, so that even though we don't keep ourselves in the picture of the business model, the kids themselves, they are strong enough to take care of the art, of the skill. Now, the beauty of this model is that this school is run completely by the profits which are generated by selling these shoes which are made by the parent himself. We are nowhere in the picture. We are just the channels. This is how we like to call this model sustainable. Sustainable is the major word that plays a very important role in creating a just society. A just society is not merely allocation of resources equally, but it is something which allows an individual or a community to do whatever he likes to do at his full potential. A cobbler decides to cobble, let him cobble. A farmer decides to farm, let him farm. Just provide him the necessary infrastructure to do it. It is not just the education or the money that is going to contribute, but it is an entire support system that should be in place. This is what the whole idea is. So in my opinion, what a just society is, it is providing an infrastructure to an individual, or maybe to a group of individuals, to any community for that matter, who has unequal strengths, unequal desires, unequal resources, and to create a system in which these people share these resources, transfer their knowledge, and work towards growth and development. This, according to me, is the true idea of a just society. It actually starts from people like us, people like you and me, the comparatively more privileged class of the society, who has access to knowledge, the knowledge to ask the right question. Here I'm standing here on the dais. I know what facilities I have at home, what facilities I don't. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? The artisan sitting in the village, he was first of all not even aware of the potential that he had in the global market. He did not know the skill that he had. He did not know what obviously he did not have. So it is us who have to take charge, take responsibility, and create towards creating a just society. Now, to tell you the impact of this model that has been created, the artisan initially he was struggling to earn a livelihood for himself. Now there is not just a monetary impact, but he is able to compete in the global market as much as an artisan in the city is. He is now fulfilled with the orders globally, both in terms of quality and quantity. He is satisfied. He confidently now comes to the city to visit us, to meet, to see the technologies that are being upgraded, and to actually adopt the same model, replicate the same model in the village. There is obviously a huge lifestyle impact. He has smartphones, he has a basic understanding on bankings and whatnot, and he is ready to live a very sustainable life. In my opinion, if such an infrastructure is provided to all the other small communities that we complain about, be it in the agricultural sector, be it in the fishing sector, any sector that you think the country that would contribute into the country's growth, if such a system is provided to each and every community, then obviously the topic of having a just society is obviously not too far to achieve. Such a system actually has given our artisan a freedom to think, a freedom to plan his own life, the freedom to plan his own business. He can plan his own finances. That, in my opinion, is the true power of a just society. We hear about farmers dying out of financial debts, despite government's continuous efforts to reduce the burden. Nothing happens. We should provide these farmers the necessary ecosystem to survive, to sustain. That the whole definition of just society for me is creating a right support system that would help a community grow, because it is going to be this community which is going to contribute to the nation's growth. That's the whole point. Like, we strive so hard to make our mothers proud. It is high time we start thinking about our motherland and make our motherland proud. That's all.